Today I will explain to you first the while statement.
Yeah.
In while statement, we have in the while line a condition between parentheses, and below while we have a block of Java statements. How it works? First, when it comes to this part of the program, the condition is checked. If the condition is true, then the block is executed. And then when after the block is executed, the condition is checked again. So in the condition part, there is some variable which probably would be changed inside the block. Okay. Otherwise, if there is nothing that is changed in the condition inside the block, then the condition will always remain same. So as long as the condition is true, the block is executed. And after the block executed, the condition is checked again, and it continues if it is true. If the condition is false, it exits the while loop and continues with the next statement. Let's do some examples. Here, for example, I want to print values from 1 to 7 using a while loop. With a for loop, this is quite easy, but this is let's just do it with a while loop. So what I do, before while loop, I declare a variable, let's say num1, and assign 1 to the first value to the variable. And in the while loop, I check if it is less than or equal to 7. If this variable num1 is less than or equal to 7. So as long as this condition is true, the body of the loop will be executed. So at the beginning, it was 1. What we do here, 1 less than or equal to 7, true. Therefore, the body of the while loop will be executed. The variable num1 is printed, and then num1 is increased by 1 here. So after printing 1, it will increase by 1. It will be 2. 2 less than or equal to 7, yes. Print 2, make it 3. 3 less than or equal to 7, etc. So at some time, num1 will be 7. 7 less than or equal to 7 will be true. 7 will be printed. Num1 will be 8, will be increased by 1. It will be 8, and 8 less than or equal to 7 will be false. So it will continue with the next statement. Let's run this program. Here we see that these are outputs. Counter is printed on the screen and then followed by the number. But of course, it is easier to implement this using a for loop. But there are cases where while loop is better or more understandable. One case is this one. The question is input integer numbers until -1 is entered. Okay, we enter, for example, enter a number. It says enter a number 8, 4, 7, 2, 12, 16, 4, 15, 3. And now I will enter -1. Here, this -1 is just tells the program to stop entering the values and print the result. Okay. The question says input numbers until -1 is entered. Here in -1 is for us sentinel value. In computer programming in computer programming, a sentinel value is a value that is checked for validity, and it doesn't count as the other numbers. It is just used to finish some operation. Okay. Here, when the program sees -1, it will not continue anymore inputting new numbers. It will just print the result. After -1, let's hit the enter key, and it prints here sum, because it says input integer numbers until -1 is entered, and print the sum of those entered integer numbers. Okay. So how do we do that? Since we are interested in sum, we have to create a variable and assign 0 at the beginning. At the beginning, we don't have any number, and then after some time, the program will say enter a number. We will enter some number. The number entered by the user will be added to sum. Sum is 0 at the beginning. 8 will be added. The sum will be 8. Then 4 is entered by the user. The sum was 8. 8 plus 4, it becomes 12. 7 is added. It becomes 19. 2 is added. 21. This is added. 33. Blah, blah, blah. At the end, after 3 entered, this value of the variable sum will become 51, and we will enter -1. It will quit the loop because all of this is done inside a loop. Let's check it. How do we do that? First of all, we have to write the enter number and read a number outside the while loop in order to get the first number. Okay. In order to get the first number, we have to input. In order to check the first number, we have to get the first number. Okay, here I'm checking the input number. If I don't put this statement here, if I put this inside the while loop, then it will not work. Why? Because for the temporarily, let's delete these numbers, these statements, and put some. And let's look now. I have my int sum. I create a scanner object to read from keyboard, and here I'm checking a number, but the number isn't entered by the user yet. So that's why we have to input the first number, and then now we are ready to check if the number is equal to the sentinel value or not. If it is not equal to sentinel value, if it's not equal to -1 in this case, then we continue adding the entered number to sum and ask for the next number. So usually when we have a question similar to this one, input some values from the keyboard and do some operation until a number is entered or some other condition happens. Then most of the time we have the first input before the while loop, and the next input is inside the while loop. This is executed once, enter a number, only that line will be done. 8 is input, then n, the value of n now is 8. 8 is not equal to -1, it is a valid number for us. So 8 is added to sum. Then it says enter a number again. So the second and subsequent inputs, enter a number, display, and inputting numbers is done inside the loop. Here it says enter a number, we entered 4. Okay, so here we read a number from keyboard. How do we read a number from a keyboard? First of all, we have to create a scanner object. I usually use the KB object name just to remind me it is keyboard. Okay, and with that object, KB object, with next int, we read a number entered by the user. This is accomplished when the user hits the enter key from keyboard. I entered 1 and 5 and then pressed enter, and then next KB.nextInt will read 15. Okay. So here enter a number is displayed the second line. As again, the first one is displayed before entering the loop. The first enter number is displayed before, and the first number is input with KB.nextInt before the while loop. Now I have the first number, and starting from the first number, we check if that number is equal to the sentinel value or not. If it is not equal to sentinel value, then it is a valid number. Then we continue our while loop. If it is equal to sentinel value, which is -1 here, then we will exit the loop. So it says, as long as it is not equal to -1, continue doing this operation. Add the number to the sum. It's a valid number. The n, if n is not equal to -1, it's a valid number. Add to sum. Display again, enter the number, the second one or the third one or the fourth one, etc. And then read a number after that. Here I'm using print, not println, system out print. Why? Because println prints a new line and goes to the next line. Let's run this with let's change this to println and println. And let's stop this program and let's run this program again. Then it says enter a number, but it will input from the second line, the next line, okay? Not the same line, and I don't like this. That's why instead of println, I will just stop this one again. Instead of println, I prefer to input from the same line. So here I just say, I just use system out print enter number so that the user will enter the numbers from the same line. So if the number is valid number, not a sentinel value, continue while loop, add the number to the sum, display again enter number, the second and all others are displayed here. Get a new number from keyboard, and for this new entered number, 4 or 7 or 2 or 6 or -1, every time check if the entered number, the number entered here is equal to -1 or not. If it is not equal to -1, then it's a valid number like 4, 7, 2, 6, etc. Add those numbers, and at one time the user will enter -1. So here on this line 29, n equal kb.nextInt line, the value of n will be -1 because the user will enter -1 and press enter from the keyboard. And then we come here again after executing the body, it always checks the condition. N is -1, -1 not equal -1 is false. It continues with the next line. Okay, and it displays sum. Is this understood?
Yes, sir.
This is the critical part is that if you have something like this, if you input on integers from keyboard until some condition is satisfied or not, then the first input is before while loop and the next inputs are at the end of the while loop. Okay, this is almost a rule. Input to integer numbers. Compute the sum of numbers starting from the first till the second number. Enter first number, let's say 12. I am interested in the sum of all numbers starting from 12 up to, for example, 34. 12 plus 13 plus 14 up to plus 34, including both of them. Okay, so sum of numbers from 12 to 34 is, let's enlarge this screen, 529. Now let's examine this one. First of all, we have to enter, we have to get from keyboard the first number and the second number. So we write here system out print, enter first number. We read a number from keyboard using kb.nextInt and assign it to a variable. N1 is my first number. N2 is the variable that I'm using for the second number or the last number. From the first number to the last number, from 12 to 34, I want to find the sum of the numbers. Okay, and then output the sum or print the sum. So what I do, I again have a variable, let's say sum1, which will contain the sum of all numbers from 12 to 34. So as I assign this, at the end here, I have in this system out println, I'm printing sum of numbers from print n1 to print n2 is and print the sum. So since I want to have this output at the end, my variable n1 and n2 that are input here should not be changed here. Okay, I want to preserve 12 and I want to preserve 34. That's why I assign n1, the initial number, the first number, to a variable k. Now k contains 12. As long as k is less than or equal to the last number, 34, which is n2, what I do, I add that number to k and increase that number. So 12, the value of k is 12. 12 is less than or equal to 34, yes. Add 12 to someone. And then increase k, it becomes 13. 13 less than 34, yes. Add 13 to the sum, make it 14. 14 less than blah blah. At one time, k will be 34. When increased, k will be 34. 34 less or equal to 34, true. Add also 34 to the sum. K will become 35. 35 less or equal to 34 will be false. It will quit the loop and will print the sum. Okay, sum 1 is the variable that I used here. Why I didn't use? Because I have already declared and used sum. So in a program, in a Java program, the same variable cannot be declared twice. Since I have sum here, I cannot write here again int sum, because sum is already declared above. That's why I used a different variable. Okay.
All right.
Did you understood this question?
Kinda, yeah. I missed the first half of it though when you were explaining it. I understood the previous question though.
Okay, let's start with the previous question. Here,
no, I understood the previous one.
No, you understood the previous one. Okay,
yeah.
in this one, the user will enter two numbers. I'm using the variable n1 for the first number. Let's say, for example, 12. Okay.
Yeah.
And n2 is contains the second number or the last number, 34.
Yeah.
The purpose is to find the sum of all integer numbers from the first number to the second. So what I'm interested in, I want to find, in that case, let's go here. Sorry. 12 plus 13 plus 14 plus 15 plus blah, 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 plus 31 plus 32. Okay.
Yeah.
No, plus 33 plus 34. This was it 34? Yeah, 34. So my purpose is to find this sum. So what I do, I initialize someone to 0. Let's make this, I want to have this also next to the other one. Okay, so here I initialize someone to 0. And here I created a new variable, k. K will be 12 at the beginning, then 13, 14, etc. Okay?
Yeah.
The value of k will be 12, 13, 14, up to 34. I initialize to the first number, which is 12. Is it less than the last value? Less than or equal to the last value? Yes. Therefore, add k to sum1. Sum1 was 0. So let's put here a table. I will just insert a table.
Is it looking for the sum of the numbers from the first number inputted to the last number inputted? Is it looking for the sum of all the numbers in between?
Yeah, that's correct. This is
okay.
a sum of the numbers from the first number to the last number.
Okay.
So let's make this table. I will just column. Let's make this just 2 centimeters.
I understood this one. I understood it.
Okay, then and yeah.
It's k equals n1, so then it will be k plus plus. So k would added 1 and k equals n2.
Yeah.
Every sum will be like, so if k1's 12, it will be added to sum. When k1's 13, when k is 13, it will be added to someone. When it's 14, so on so forth. So 34.
For example, assume that let's put this one. Someone is set to 0. Okay, on line 41, someone is set to 0. And then k is equal to n1. So k becomes after some time 12.
Yeah.
12 less than 34.
Yes.
And so it is 12 is added to someone, then k is made 13 here, and 13 is still less, 13 plus 12, 25, etc., etc.
Okay.
Okay. 14, 39, for example, and 15, etc., etc.
Would there be a
54,
question
blah, blah.
in the quiz? So when it gives you like the method and then it asks you what would sum 1 be or what would k be, and it tells you like the inputted value. You say it says 12 is the inputted value all the way to 35. Would it ask you for like what's the sum?
Yeah. Apart from the essay questions, in essay questions, the essay question can be something like that. Input two integer numbers, compute the sum of the numbers between these two, including both of them, and output. This will be an essay question type. Or
Okay.
what I can do, I can give you this program.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I can say that the user enters 12 as the first number and let's say 16 as the last number.
Okay.
What is the result? Okay, this is another question. We call it trace question. Assume that the second number is 16, 16 plus blah blah 70, and then next it will be 17. And if the n2, the last number is 16, at one time after adding the last number to sum, k will be one more than the last number.
Yeah.
In that case, k less than or equal to the last number will be false. It will go out and it will print. So the question can be like something like that. This program can be given. This program segment can be given to you, and the question can be said that the user will enter 12 and 16 as these two numbers. What will be the output? What will be the output? The output will be sum of numbers from 12 to 16 is 70. So you have to build something like that, okay?
Okay.
So I call this trace table. You just put the necessary, because here in this loop, in this while loop, only sum1 and k are changed.
Yeah.
Although I have n1 and n2, but here only sum1 and k are changed. So just you build something like that. This is the values of sum1 and k throughout the lifetime of this loop, okay? While this loop is executed, these are the values that these variables get. And at then case 17, it is less, it's not less than or equal to 16, exit, and then print 17 somewhere here, okay? 70 as output.
Okay.
In my question bank, short question type contains this type of questions. Usually, the answer is just 1 or 2 words or just a line most of the time. And it can be a program segment, and the question may ask, what is the output of this program segment? Or it can be some other thing. It can be, I can give, for example, this program, but just I can remove that line. Yeah. And I can ask, just write the missing line. This can be another question type, okay?
All right.
Okay, now next we will input an integer number. Let's enter here an integer number. For example, 1, 2, 4, 8. Now here, and input an integer number, output the number of its digits and sum of its digits. So there are two results that is asked. One is the number of digits. How many digits are there? For this example, there are 4 digits. Okay. Yeah. And what is the total of its digits? 8 plus 4, 12 plus 2, 14 plus 1, 50. Okay. So when I will press enter here, I will get this. Blah, blah, blah has 4 digits and their total is 50. Okay. How do we do that? In Java, when you divide a number when you divide 2 integer numbers, for example, 1, 2, 4 divided by 10, if both numbers are integers, you don't get 12.4. In Java, you just get 12. Okay.
Okay.
It is similar to floor division in Python.
Yeah.
We don't have any floor division. If in Java both numbers of a division operation are integers, the result is an integer number.
Okay.
It can be, for example, even 9. 12.9. It is not 12.9. It is 12. The decimal part is omitted. So while solving this question, we will use that property. Enter an integer number. 1248 is entered here. So M in this program segment, M is our number. I'm interested in two things: the number of digits and sum of digits. So what I need two variables. Num digits is number of digits. Sum digits is sum of the digits. Okay.
Okay.
So when I see this question, I should immediately think of at least three variables. One variable is for inputting a number. Second variable is number of its digits. Third variable, sum of its digits. Okay, so we have this. Here I used another extra variable. When I will explain this part, you will understand why I'm using this. I assigned M, my input variable, to temp. Now, based on this principle, let's say take the value of M is equal to 1248. And here we have our temp. And let's put here, insert two variables. This one is num digits, and the other one is sum digits. Okay. At the beginning, we assigned 0 to both.
Okay.
Okay. And I will just delete this. So temp initially is 1248. What I will be doing, I'll be getting the last digit every time. Why? Because when I have, for example, 1248 modulus 10 will give me the last digit. Okay.
Yeah.
And when I divide 1248 by 10, I will get rid of the last digit. I will get 124.
Yeah.
So I will be using this modulus operator and divide by 10 operation to get the last digit, add the last digit to sum of digits. Since I get one digit, I will increase number of digits by 1.
Yeah.
And I will also divide temp by 10 for the next cycle.
So you can do it again.
Yeah.
All right.
So here num digits is increased by 1. So what we do, it will become 1. Sum digits is equal to modulus by 10. Temp modulus 10. Let's put it here. 1248 modulus 10 is 8. Temp modulus 10 will be 8 at this time. So 8 is added to sum of digits. It was 0, it will become 8. And then we divide temp by 10. So we get rid of the last digit. Now we have this. We come back. Is it greater than 0? Here it checks if it's greater than 0. We repeat this process as long as the number is greater than 0. 124 is greater than 0. Go inside. Inside we have num digits plus plus. It is increased by 1. It will become 2. The last digit is added to sum. The last digit is 4. 8 plus 4, 12. Here temp modulus 10. Temp is now 124. That's
4 is the modulus 10.
Yeah. Yeah, since the 124 divided modulus 10 is 4, therefore 4 will be added to some digits. And temp will be divided by 10, it will become 12.
Oh,
12 greater than 0, yes. Increase number of digits by 1. Get the last digit, which is 2, by modulus operation. Add
yeah.
to the total 12 plus 2, 14. Divide 12 by 10 is 1. It is still greater than 0. 1 modulus 10 is 1. So first we increase the number of digits on line 60. Line 61, some digits gets temp modulus 10. 1 modulus 10 is 1. Add that to sum of digits, it becomes 5. 1 divided by 10, now we have 0. 0 greater than 0 is false, and it exits the loop and prints the result. Okay.
Is there a reason, sir, why you assigned the m value, the integer m to temp? You said temp equals m.
Yeah. Why? Because at the end, I want to print m has blah blah. I want to print the variable again.
Without
If
being. Okay.
if instead of using temp, here I can use m. Okay. I
But
can use
then
m everywhere, but at
change.
the end m will be 0.
Yeah.
I will be losing the value of m.
Okay. All right.
Not losing it, I just assigned it to another variable. Because here I want to print the value again. In order to get this line printed correctly, if I use m, it will be 0 at the end. So 0 has 4 digits and their total is 15 will be wrong. Okay. That's why I'm using another variable.
Okay.
Last week we had done a question about this. I have that here. It is easier to write this program using a while loop. Okay. Now let's enlarge that one. Write a Java program that computes and outputs the sum of the series, this series 1/2 plus 1/4, 1/8, etc. As long as the terms, a new term 1/2n is greater than 0001 is as long as it is greater than or equal to this value, we continue adding those values. When it is a smaller, when the new term is smaller than this value, we will stop adding the new values. It will be too small and it will not change the answer much. So we will stop at that point. Okay.
Okay.
So let's do this example. This is sum of series. What we do here, first of all, we have our variable that contains the sum, okay? The result of all additions, which is SS.
Okay.
And term is every new term. At the beginning, it is 0.5. 1/2 is 0.5. But now, attention, we are, of course, dealing with real numbers, not integer numbers, but real numbers. That's why I'm using double, okay? The first term is 0.5. 1/2 is 0.5, the first term. So what is the condition? As long as the new term will contain the new term, as long as the new term is greater or equal to 0.00001, it's an acceptable term for me. I will add that term to the series. I used SS for sum of series, S for sum and series S, and so I use double S because of sum and S characters. So since the term is an acceptable term, we add the term to the sum of series. And what do we do? From the first one to the next one, or from the second to the third, from the third to the next, or from any term to the next term, the new term's value is half of the previous term.
Yeah.
So what we do, we divide term by 2. Okay? Or we can multiply by 0.5. Both statements, this and this, are true, correct.
Yeah.
Are same. And after getting new term, we check if the new term is an acceptable term. If yes, add to the sum, get half. And when at one time the value of the term will be less than this threshold value, this limit value, then we will quit the loop and print the sum of series. As you see, it is very close to 1. The result, when it goes to the infinity, the result of this series is this is equal to 1. But here we cut after some time, and we see that it is very close to 1, but not 1 because we didn't continue for too long. If I make this something like that, it will be more close to the result. Okay.
Okay.
It's
Could you
more
use
close to 1. Sorry.
double is the only thing you could use in it. You can't use int because it's a decimal number.
Sorry.
You know how it says double SS and double term?
Yeah, that's why, because these are not integers.
Okay.
These are real numbers.
All right. Could you use double for integer numbers? Say it's just a still number, like say it starts from 2.
Yeah. When I put 0, it will be 0.0. If I put here 20, it will be 20.0.
Okay.
I can assign a integer constant, but Java compiler will automatically convert that integer constant to a double constant and assign double value. Okay.
All right.
Here, for example, I'm dividing by 2. I can write as well 2.0. It doesn't matter because term is double. Therefore, it will be divided by a double value.
Okay.
Okay.
But
even if I write here 2, the Java compiler will divide it by 2.0 because the hardware, the computer hardware is so that addition, subtraction, multiplication, division can only be done between values of the same data type. You cannot divide an integer with a double. You cannot multiply a double with an integer. Okay. If one of them is double, then the other one is converted to double. Because of the hardware, the computer hardware is done like that. The arithmetic logic units of the computers, of the processors, handles numbers of the same type.
Understood.
Yeah. Next. Here, this is very similar to the previous one. Oh, here I made something different. You remember the program where the user enters numbers until -1 is entered and their sum is printed. Here we were inputting the first number before the while loop. If the number is valid, add it to sum and get the next number inside the while loop. We can make it. Here we have an example. While true. What is while true? The condition is just true. So this will repeat. It seems that this will repeat forever because the condition is true. But I was going to explain break later on, but we have a statement called break, which quits the loop immediately. When the break is executed, the loop is terminated. So here it is very similar to the previous one. Here again, numbers are input, but instead of -1, the loop will finish when a negative number is entered. Okay. The only change is that instead of -1, if I make it, for example, equal -1, it will be very similar to the previous program.
Yeah.
But here the condition is not -1. When the -1 is not, when -1 is entered, it is treated as a normal value. Only, sorry, not the normal value. When a negative number, not only -1, any negative number, -5, -8, will finish the loop. Therefore, when we enter a negative value, the loop will quit. So what I do, sum was already declared here int sum. Okay, since sum is in the same program already declared, I don't declare it again. I don't write it here int. It's already declared. I just use the same variable. Okay, I assign 0 to it because it is already declared.
Okay.
I have here an infinite loop at the beginning. Then in the loop, we input any number. Let's say here 8, 2, now it is 10, 7 and 3, 20, and minus 88.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we are doing, all of these inputs, all these 5 inputs are done inside the while loop. Enter a number. I entered 8. And the value of n is 8. As long as it is not negative, we continue. Or in other words, when it is a negative value, the loop is finished.
Yeah.
So when I enter minus 88, here it quits the loop immediately. So 88 is not added to the sum.
What about 0? It won't end at 0, right? Because
it is, but 0 wouldn't affect the sum. Okay, it will continue. It will continue if I enter, for example, instead of 3, if I enter 0, it will continue. Therefore, the sum will not be 20 but 17. Okay.
Okay.
So when I enter 0, it doesn't matter. It continues. It adds 0 to sum. Here it will be sum plus equals 0. 0 is added, but it doesn't affect the value of sum.
Okay.
So we can build loops. The previous loop can be written like that. Okay, this one.
Yeah.
As long as minus was entered, it can be written like this. The only change here would be if it is equal to -1, then quit the loop. Okay.
That's where you use break.
Yeah.
Okay.
Less than 0. Let's make it as normal. Okay. Is it understood?
Yeah.
So the while loops are more suitable when we don't have a limit. We don't know how many times the loop will be executed. So we just check a condition to continue the loop. So the condition will be used to continue the loop if the term, for example, in this case, is greater than or equal to that threshold value. Continue adding the term to the series and get the next term. Always the variable that we use in this expression, one of the variables in this expression will be changed inside the while loop. Okay. But here we don't have that. This is true, but we quit with using break.
Okay. And break is always within the like you don't put break after. Can you see where it says system.out.println? You don't put break right on top of there. You have to put it within the statement.
Yeah, the break statements can be used either in while loop or for loop. Okay.
But it has to be within the statement. It can't be after it, right?
Yeah, putting break outside while loop doesn't help.
Okay, all right.
It has to be inside, and almost always a break is preceded by a if statement. If a certain condition happens, then quit the loop. Okay. If I don't write this, directly put break at the first cycle of the loop, it will break, and it will not be a nice program anyway in that case.
Okay.
So when we have break, it is almost always, there may be, I don't remember any case but to be on the safe side, I say that almost always we have an if statement before a break. Of course, here there can be other statements. Okay, it can be something like this, for example. Let's put a curly brace here. Before breaking, we can do some other things. Okay.
Okay.
There may be such cases. There are some programming questions which requires doing some extra operation before finishing the loop. Okay, this may be a case. There are such cases. There are such problems. So don't think that break should be alone. There may be other statements before break inside that if statement which contains break. But of course, after putting any statement here is meaningless because break quits the loop, goes outside, and those statements will not be executed. This is useless. having a statement after break in the same if statement, but we can have statements before. Okay, we can have here some statements and followed by break. Break is the last statement in an if statement. Now let's continue with next subject, which is do statement. We have a do while statement, do statement or do while statement. The difference between do while and while is that in while the condition is checked first. If the condition is true, the statement is executed and then condition is checked again. In do while, the statements are executed first and then the condition is checked. And if the condition is true, the statements are executed again and again. Okay. So the difference is this. In this one, condition is checked first. If it is true, the body of the block is executed, the statements here are executed, and then it comes back and checks the condition again. So what can we say about do while? The statements are executed at least once. Okay. You know that it is executed at least once because when it starts, it executes first. And after executing the first time, if the condition is false, then it quits. But it happens that it is already executed one time. So in a do while, the statements are executed at least once.
Yeah.
Here we have an example. It's not a good example. Print the values from 1 to 7.
Yeah.
Not print values 1 to 7. Yeah. Here, what do? We start with 0. Inside, count is increased by 1. It will become 1. 1 is printed. As long as it is less than 7, continue. So it will be 2 printed, 3 printed, 4, 5, 6. Count will be 6. 6 printed. 6 less than 7. Go back. Make it 7. Print 7. But now 7 less than 7 is wrong. And go out. But 7 is already printed. Okay.
Okay. I've got one here in my spare time. I was doing one is first I assigned int x. I assigned x value to int, and I said do, and then system.out.println, type a new number, and then x equals sc.next line, and then while x is not equal to 10, it ends this. Then it will just do the statement over and over again. So it will say enter a number. So if I enter 2 or whatever number I enter, whilst it's not 10, it will just redo the statement, and when I click 10, it will stop there. That's for like the do while statement.
Sorry, I couldn't follow you. Can you type it in chat quickly? Is it possible?
I'll try to, yeah. I got it right here. I'll just show on my camera.
Oh, okay, that's better.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Oh, sorry, it just disconnected randomly.
Okay, no problem.
All right, it is this statement here.
Okay, let's look at int x to system.out.println and type a number x. Okay.
So like here, if I put 5.
So what happens with this one? The user will enter numbers continuously as long as it is not equal to 10, it will continue entering. When the user enters 10, it will quit the loop.
Yeah, you've just done that now.
Okay.
Is that like a good example of that, the do while statement?
Yeah, I will show you an example using my do while example. Let me run this program and then explain it to you. Here, there is a menu, add, subtract, multiply, divide, and 0 to finish. Let's start with multiply, 3. Enter first number, 4 times 7. Result, oh, sorry, there are other stuff here. What I will do, I will just comment everything. I will first delete everything in the program so that the rest is not. Enter first number, enter second number, selection 1, selection 2, blah, blah. Okay. For time being, let's remove this. What happens is that I should make this in a loop. Anyway, here I have an integer variable selection. I haven't explained to you yet the methods, but this just contains a number of printlns. Okay, this method only contains printlns. Just think that these system out printlns are here.
Yeah.
It prints these stuff. Sorry, that menu, and then we print selection and get an integer. If the user enters a negative value, -1, -2, -5, whatever, or any value which is greater than 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12,
Yeah.
what do? We repeat displaying the menu and entering. Let's run it again. I entered, for example, 8,
Okay.
which is not a valid number.
Okay.
-4. As long as I enter an invalid value, here I have the condition to check for invalidity. Okay, if it is invalid, repeat displaying menu and getting new selection. Okay.
Okay.
So here my condition is invalidity condition. If it is less than 0, it's invalid, or greater than 4, it is invalid. If it's invalid, therefore repeat again. Okay. This is and if it is valid, then input two numbers, and if selection is 1, add them. If selection is equal to 2, subtract. If selection is equal to 3, it's multiply, therefore multiply. If selection is 4, it is divide, therefore divide the number and show the result. Okay.
Okay.
This is an example of do while. Sometimes we can have this kind of do while statements. We have some operation, some stuff inside, and as long as this condition is true, this condition is true. When in this case, when the selection is wrong, the condition is true. Therefore, we continue displaying menu and getting new selection. But it can be something else as well. Let me check from my lecture notes if there are some exercises related with do whiles. Write a do loop to get a sequence of positive integer numbers from the user using 0 as sentinel value. The program should output the sum of the numbers. Okay, let's do this. We will get positive numbers. Not this time, we will not use a for loop, we will not use a while loop, but we will use a do while loop. Okay.
Yeah.
And 0 is the sentinel value. The program should output the sum of numbers. So what I have to do is just first, I will say, for example, int sum is equal to 0.
Yeah.
Of course, I should have, since I want to input something, I have to have a scanner object. Scanner keyboard is equal to new scanner system.in. This is how to build an object to use to input from keyboard. Now I have my do statement. While some condition. Of course, do while is not the best structure for this, but anyway, let's try to implement it using do while. What I will be doing, I will be writing post numbers. So I will be inputting a number. Here we will say system.out.print enter a number. And then we will declare a variable, for example, int, or assume that we are dealing with integers, positive integers. So I will have int and equal kb dot next int to read an integer from keyboard. As long as the entered integer is positive, we will continue this operation. Okay. So here we will have sum, n is positive. Okay. Here we have to put this because it is not curly brace. After curly brace, we don't put semicolon, but if we have do while after condition, here we have a semicolon at the end. Okay.
Okay.
We have a while, therefore I have to finish it. I have to put a semicolon. But here, if I do, for example, this sum plus equal n. Assume that the user entered a negative number. What will happen? The negative number will also be added to sum.
Yeah.
But it's not what I want. Therefore, what I can do, I can put an if statement. If n is positive, then it added to sum. Okay.
Okay.
But n can be negative. If it's negative, it is not added to sum, but here it will quit the loop. Okay. If n is 0 or a negative number, when it comes to while, after doing these operations, this body of the while loop is executed. It will check n. If n is positive, it will continue and get next number. If the input number is positive, add it to sum. If the input number here is negative, it will not add that negative number. This will be false, but it will come anyway here. Since n is negative or 0, it will quit the loop. It will not continue with inputting next number. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Is this understood?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Nested loops, we can have, we have seen nested for loops. We can also have nested while loops. There is no limit to it. You can just look to lecture notes here. Usually in CS102, I don't ask nested while loop questions, okay? There can also be a while loop inside a for loop inside a while loop. There is no limit to this, okay? All are possible. We can have a for loop. And inside the for loop, we can have several statements. For example, blah, blah, blah. And after some time, we can have a while loop, etc. We can have all these kind of variations. Inside this while loop, I can have, if necessary, another for loop, etc. So any number of for and while loops can be nested inside each other. Okay, there is no limit. as long as, of course, you know what to do. As long as this solves a given problem.
Yeah.
We can have this kind of nested for loops, while loops, etc. Here we have a while loop, which has this. You can just copy from the lecture notes, and the question is how many times the string here again get printed. Now let's check what happens. We have count1 and count2 variables. What I will be doing, I will be just copying this. Control C, let's put it somewhere here. But here now I have count1 and count2. Okay. Let's delete this part. Now, what is value of count1? It is 1 at the beginning.
Yeah.
As long as count1 is less or equal to 10, what do we do? Count2 is 1. As long as it is less or equal to 50, we print here again and increase count2. So how many times this loop will execute?
49 times. 10 times.
No. Attention. Count2 equal to 1, count2 less than 50, and count is increased. From 1, it starts with 1, increase by 1. It will be 2, 3, etc.
Well,
And at one time 50. So it will execute 50 times, okay?
Yeah.
This loop, this while loop will execute 50 times. It starts with 1. As long as the count2 value is less or equal to 50, therefore 50 is included. 1, 2, 3, 4, 49, 50. Therefore, this will be executed 50 times. Okay. And let's look how many times the outer while loop will be executed. Start with 1, increase by 1, as long as it is less or equal to 10. So the value of count will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. For 10 as well, count1 will be 10 at one time. 10 less or equal to 10 is true. Therefore, this loop will be executed 10th time. At the end, count1 will be 11, and it will quit the loop. Therefore, for 1 to 10, including both, this outer loop will be executed. Therefore, this loop will be executed 10 times. Inner loop will be executed 50 times. 10 multiplied by 50. This will be printed 500 times. Okay. Let's make it more simple. 4 times, 8 times. Count is up to 4. So for 1, this will be up to 1, 1, etc. up to 8. So it will do 8 times. Then count to 1 will be 2. Okay, it will be increased by 1. It will become 2. But when we come inside the loop, it is again initialized to 1. Okay, so it again 1. Then will become 2, will become 3, will become 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. It will do 8 times. Then it will finish this loop. The inner loop will be finished after 8 times. From 1 to 8, it will do this. When it will become 9, it will quit the loop. And then it will increase the count1 again. It will be 3. Inside the loop, it sets count2 again to 1. So it will be 1. Let's make this slightly. Okay, it will be 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and every time it will print the here again. This is where it is increased. When it becomes 9, it will quit, and then it will be 4, and then the same thing will happen again and again. Okay.
Okay.
So let's put this here as well. Control C here as well, and let's remove these lines. So it will be something like that. So the outer loop will be repeating 4 times from 1, increasing by 1 every time, as long as it is less or equal. So the values that will be used inside this while loop will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And similarly here, the values that will be used inside the second loop will be for count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If it is less or equal to 8, it continues. When it is 9, it will quit the loop. So this is repeated 8 times every time this while loop is executed, and this while loop is executed 4 times. Okay. So this will print, if it is 4 and 8, then it will print this here again 32 times. One thing about the while loops, it can happen also with for loops as well, infinite loops. Let's put that same program here. Now we have count equal to 1. While count not 50, what do? We print the count, 1 is printed, and it is increased by 2. So it will be from 1, it will jump to 1, then 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, etc. At one point, it will be 49, and 51, and 53. But since the condition is, as long as it is not equal to 50,
it's going to go on forever.
Yeah, it will never happen to be 50. The value of count will never be 50. So this loop will continue forever. Okay. Not forever, of course, until the computer crashes at some time. So we have to be careful when we build loops. We shouldn't build loops like that. It can be, for example, less or equal to 50 or less than 50 or whatever. Okay. Depending on our purpose, we have to set a condition which will be false at some time.
Yeah.
Break, I already explained break. When in a loop there is a break statement, then it immediately finishes the loop. Here, the break is before system out println. So let's look here. J is 1. Let's copy these two these two programs here. I will make them bigger with bigger fonts. Okay. Now here, J is 1 at the beginning. Every time it is increased by 1, as long as it is less than 11, it will continue. So which values will be used in this loop? 1 to 10. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As long as it's less than 11. But here, when it is greater or equal to 5, we are breaking. So when it is 1, it's okay. This is false. It will print 1. So let's go here. What is the output? 1 will be printed, then 2 will be printed, 3 will be printed, 4 will be printed, then J will be 5. At one time, J, sorry, this has to be J, okay? This has to be J as well. Sorry for the for the error here. This has to be J and this has to be J. I had used a different variable. It has to be the same variable. So when it is 5, after printing 4, of course, I have to put a semicolon here as well. After printing J, 4, it goes and increases J by 1. It will become 5. 5 less than 11. Therefore, continue the for statement. But here, J greater or equal to 5 is true, and it breaks. Therefore, 5 is not printed. Okay, it doesn't come here. 5 is not printed. The loop is finished. Okay, so it will print 1 to 4. But what happens if we have this. Let's copy this statement, take it from here and put it there. Now, it's very similar to the previous example, but this if system out println j is before this break. What will happen? For j is equal to 5, j was 4, 4 is printed. For greater or equal to 5 is false. Come here, increase j by 1, it becomes 5. 5 is also printed. So 5 is also printed here.
Okay.
And then it breaks. The difference is that when I have this println after, it will print up to 4. If this println is before, it will also print 5 and then break after. Okay. Here we have another example. This is a nice one. Now, let's put here the values of k. K is at the beginning 827419. While k is greater than 0, we will continue. This is greater than 0. Okay. If k modulus 2 is equal to 0. If k is even, is it even? No.
Nope.
Therefore, it doesn't break. What happens?
It
Divide it by 10. What is the next value of k? 82741. Okay. So k, the new value of k will be this. Is it greater than 0? Yes. Continue. Is it even?
No.
No. It ends with 1. Therefore, it doesn't break. Divide by 10. So the new value will be 8274.
Yeah.
Come here. 8274. Greater than 0? Yes. Is it even? Yes. Break. Therefore, this is printed. Okay. After the statement is printed, I am finding some minor errors in my programs. Okay. In my lecture notes. So it will stop when it will just remove the odd numbers, not only first, but odd numbers. It was, for example, another 5 here, 5 and 9 and 1. And then it will just remove the odd digits at the end of the number. Okay, the rightmost odd digits. If it is even, break. If it is not even, if it's odd, remove the last digit. So it will remove the odd digits from the end of the number. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a strange question. Anyway, this is a strange program. It just divides the number as long as it is not even. Okay. If it's not even, it continues and breaks when it is even. If the number is even, then it breaks. If it's not even, remove the last digit. So it removes the odd digits from the end of the number. Continue. Now let's continue with the continue statement. What is a continue statement? When we have assume that we have a loop, for loop or while loop, both can contain a continue statement. Assume that I have a for loop, blah, blah, blah. And inside the for loop, I have some statements. Sorry. I will just put here something like this. And at one point, it can be if some condition. And continue. But also we can have here other statements as well. We can have some statements and then continue.
What does the continue mean exactly?
I will just explain after this. I will type in this segments, this program, this example. Let's copy this here. Okay. Now, assume that I have a for loop or while loop. For or while doesn't matter. I have some statements, and when a condition comes, continue means skip the rest. Okay. Continue with the next cycle. When it finds continue, it will not execute those statements. So there may be not these statements. It can be something like this, but if there is a continue, it has to be inside an if statement. Other statements may precede continue, and always outside this if, there must be some extra statements so that continue has some meaning. When a continue is found, when a continue is run, is executed, the statements in the same loop, for loop or while loop, it doesn't matter, it can happen in both, or do while, then the remaining lines will be skipped. Okay. Let me write a small example. I will use Eclipse. It is easier to write here. Just change this. Or let's write it here. Oops, sorry. Okay. Assume I have this. Int n is some number. And while n is greater than 0, here what I will do, n slash equal 10, which means divide n by 10. System out println, and here I will have int dgt equal n modulus 10. So what is dgt? Modulus 10 is the last digit, okay? So println dgt. I will print digit, but I will move it here. But what I will say, if dgt modulus 2 equal 0.
So that means if it's an even number.
Yeah, if the digit is an even number, continue. So what it will do, it will only print the odd digits. Okay.
Okay.
Get a number, integer number. As long as the number is greater than 0, not infinite loop, of course. Get the last digit. Divide the number by 10. If the last digit is even, continue with the next cycle. Otherwise, if the last digit is, if this condition is false, which means that if the last digit is odd, then it will continue the program. It will just print the last digit. Okay.
Okay.
Of course, there is a better way of doing this. I can write the same program without continue. In this case, it can be written without continue. What I will do, just copy this program. Here again. Of course, yes. Instead of doing this, what I can do, if it is equal to 1, this will be probably better. If it's an odd digit, print it. Okay, I can do it like that.
Okay.
So this can be done something like that. I just reversed the statement and put this inside if. So we can do that. Or in other words, I can put not this, then like that, okay?
Okay.
It's the same thing. So continue just skips the remaining statements. When I have a continue, it skips the remaining statements, the statements after continue in the same loop. There are some very nice examples of using continue. I probably couldn't remember a nice example, but here I did something. Here, for example, let's examine this for loop. Int j is equal to 1, less than 11, plus plus. Therefore, it will execute for the values of j from 1 to 10. Okay. You have to be used to understand which values will be used in the for loop when there is such an example, such a for loop. Start with 1, increase by 1 every time. As long as j is less than 11, continue the loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 10 will be used for will be the values of j in the loop. Okay, these are the values. What I have here, if it is greater or equal to 3 and less or equal to 6, continue. Therefore, skip the rest of the state of the for loop and continue with the next cycle. So what will happen? It will print 1 and 2. From 3 to 6, this condition will be true. It will continue the loop. Therefore, it will not execute that statement. When it is 7, 8, 9, 10, it will print. Okay, so this will be the output of this program segment. The continue statement causes Java to skip the rest of the current iteration of the loop.
So what's the initial value of n? You know how j is 1 and it goes up.
Oh, sorry. This is not
j.
n. This is
Okay,
against same error. This is the same error.
No problem.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
This is the correct one. I will just put this version of the lecture notes to LMS. There were some mistakes. No, okay, JJJ. Now there are no mistakes here. RRC. I will just check again some more programs. So this is now correct. This has to be not N but J. Okay. So I will stop here.
Okay.
I hope this is understood well.
Yeah, very well, sir.
Thank you. I will stop recording.